All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to hop into typography and making type scales and type styles, kind of like we did with color styles. And we're going to talk about why this is important, why this is helpful, how it can help you move forward in an efficient and effective manner and stay organized. We're not going to talk a ton about type theory today. I can definitely do a later video on that if you guys would like. Excuse me. I said, if you guys want, I can do a video on that later. I might even bring in a friend of mine. She's also a designer. She's got a ton of experience in typography. She taught some typography for a while. So let me know if that's something you guys are interested in. We can definitely set that up. But for now, we're going to work under the assumption that you have some idea of how typography works, in the sense of, why am I choosing this typeface for this application? Without going in depth, different typefaces have different feels to them. There are typefaces with serifs and sans serifs. There are heavier typefaces. You can get into these weights of bold, medium, italic, black, regular, big, small, X heights. There's a ton of different things you can do. Some of them convey a more fun-loving and exciting feel. Some are more professional. So we definitely need to make sure we understand those differences before we just jump into a design. But we're going to work on the assumption today. Excuse me. I guess I've been talking to you guys for too long. I'm starting to lose my voice. We're going to work on the assumption today that we've already done that. So let's get started with typography. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, as always, I'm just going to make a frame for us to go off of. Make it a little bigger. You know what, I'm gonna, just for the sake of making sure everything is sized right, I should probably be using these defaults. Look at that, it's so much bigger. Okay, so I have already kind of decided on a typeface. It's one that I use fairly often, and that is San Francisco Pro Display. This is one that Apple uses a lot. It's kind of their font. Don't kill me if it's your font and I said that wrong. As far as I know, though, this is one that Apple uses a lot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this at 12 for now. Let's assume that, I guess let's not assume, let's make. There's a line we use a lot in type scales. It's the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The reason we use this is it uses all the letters of the alphabet. So when you're displaying them, you can get an idea of what each letter is going to look like in this typeface. So let's say the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And I'm just doing this in standard Pro Display, regular 12-point font. It's nothing fancy. And I'm going to do a couple versions of this. I'm going to space them out a few times. That's probably enough. This one, I am going to keep the same text, but let's say I want 12-point font, and I'm going to use that for the body of my text. And then maybe for a small header, I'm going to use size 16. And then maybe for heading size 2, I'm going to use, size 20. And normally when you do this for real, you're going to take some time. You're going to see how things look, how they compare on your designs, and you're going to be a lot more intricate and detailed about which sizes you decide to use. But I'm just going through this quickly for demonstration's sake. And oops, don't do that, Jake. I'm even going to get rid of some of these just because we really don't need, what did I just do? Select it all. We really don't need a ton of examples to get the point across here. And a rule of thumb that I kind of go by, and this is what I was taught, never go above 6 typefaces if you can help it. Less is always more when it comes to design. Typefaces especially, this goes back to that cognitive load that we were talking about. The more typefaces you have, the more your user has to associate with that size or that weight or whatever it may be. So less is more in this instance. I'm going to make sure these are all spaced out. Let's do 20 just so we've got decent spacing on all of these. And of course that got messed up earlier. Let me now make sure these are all set to 20. There we go. So one thing you'll want to do here is you'll want to tell people what font sizes these are. So I'm just going to say 12 pixel. And pixels are what Sketch and Figma work in. They're not necessarily the end result of what we want to show. And I'm going to show you guys in the next video what we want to demonstrate these as. Developers don't generally work in pixels. They work in something called rem or M. It's a lot more responsive. We'll get into that in the next video though. I just want to give you guys kind of a heads up. We're not going to be sticking with pixels. So we've got 12 pixel, and when I'm doing this for real, I will take the time to make sure everything's evenly spaced and lined up perfectly. In this case though, it's not that important. I'm just gonna show you guys how all this works. So we've got size 20, 24. You can tell I put a lot of thought into these sizes because I have to check what they were. And I want to thank you guys for being patient with me. As I'm sure you've noticed by now, my brain goes a little faster than my mouse and my mouth can keep up with sometimes. So I start to ramble a little bit and have to pull myself back in. So thank you for being patient. I do appreciate it. So we've got our different font sizes here. Probably should say, what is this font, right? So I'm going to just come up here to the top and I'm going to say type scale. Maybe an underscore. There's not a set way you have to do this. Maybe I'll just do a slash. Type scale, San Francisco Pro display. Really don't need much more than that, right? You can get more detailed on that if you want, but you really don't have to. And I'm going to bump this up because this is my title font. So I'm going to say, let's go with 24 because maybe that's what it is. Again, not getting too intricate here. So we've got type scale. We're telling people what our text is. We've got our different sizes. Now we want to demonstrate, well, what's the font weight here? What style am I looking at in this font? So I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to explain to people, you know, we have this, let's say, for example, maybe I'm going to use a regular size or a regular weight and a bold weight and an italic weight. I am going to just show them that very quickly. So down at the bottom, and maybe I'll just do this in 12-point font or 16. We've got 16 as one of our options. I am going to say SF Pro Display, and you don't have to write this. This is just how I like to do it. I'll just write out SF Pro Display or whatever my font typeface name is, and I'll do slash regular. And then I'm going to make a copy of, don't do that, make a copy of this and another copy. And then this one I'm going to say bold, or yeah, we'll do bold. And then this one we'll do italic. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I want to show them the differences, right? So this one's going to be regular. It's already on regular. This one's bold, so I'm going to switch it to bold. And then italic, I'm going to switch to, do we have an italic? We have an italic. San Francisco has so many different weights. It's ridiculous. So now they can see, well, this one is the font I'm using, and it's got these different weights. This is what they'll look like if you use them. I don't need to go through and show them all the sizes and all the weights. You can if you want to. It's not necessarily required. A lot of that's dependent on where you're working and what their expectations are. Make sure this is all lined up. And I don't know, maybe you want to fancy it up a little bit, and you can put some nice lines under each of these and underline things. You don't have to. It's not that important. Make it look nice. Throw your own little flair on it. The point of this is so you can see I'm using these fonts and your developers can see I'm using these fonts. Now, something else you could do is maybe you could change the, or you could add a little title into each of these saying this 12-point font is going to be body. This 16-point font is subtitle. This 20-point font is a header. This is a different header, and this is a title. You can get intricate with it, and we're going to do more of that in the next video. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a quick overlook of what a type scale is on a very basic level. All you're doing is showing people this is the typeface that I'm using, these are the sizes, and these are the weights, so they get an idea. Quickly before we sign off, a little trick I like to use. I hate when text runs off the screen like that, and I really don't want to wrap it to make it fit. That just messes things up. So what I'll actually do, people know what it's called. I will throw in a little rectangle here and change its fill to a linear gradient. And I'm just going to go side to side here. And I want both of these to be purely white because, oh, you go away. We're on a white page. I'm not trying to change the color. All I'm doing is increasing opacity as I go along so that it kind of fades out. So it's kind of saying, you know, there's more text here, but it fades off the screen. We don't really need to see it right now. And that's just kind of a little trick I use, and you can make it bigger if you want. But again, my brain's getting ahead. I need to stop rambling. I'll see you guys in the next video. We'll go more in depth on a detailed type scale, one that is, in my opinion, a lot better for developer handoffs and gives a lot better idea of what it is you are trying to accomplish. So I'll see you guys in the next video.